rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective with Rick Thomas, the number one liquid-fueled, liquid lubricated show on the interwebs. God, I've been waiting to say that for a while. Used to say it with the Whiskey Musings broadcast all the time, but now, of course, we've done the name change, American Perspective with Rick Thomas. By the way, now that I've done the name change, apparently I've attracted a little bit of attention. And I'm not talking about the good kind of attention. I got that coming up for you. I've got, I received an anonymous package in the physical American Perspective box through the physical mail. And so we're gonna do mail call tonight. So that'll be a mail call thing. So thank you, whoever sent that. And the reason why I say anonymous is because it doesn't say on the outside where it came from, but it definitely is somebody that knows because of the ship to address that's on here. It's somebody that follows or tracks or picked up off of my thing or whatever. Anyway, Tommy over on Facebook is asking to share a link. I don't care. Go ahead. Share it in the chat. It's not like I have that much control over that stuff. I mean, I could block you, ban you, kick you, do something, but no, I'm not going to do that. Not for that. But anyway, yeah, so there's that. I have a couple of things. I have some information on the ship, hopefully, and also some talking points about that. And then I've got a few other articles and stuff. We'll just have to jump right in it. And I do have a pet of the week this week. Outlaw Dogs submitted it a while ago, and she's playing around with an underwater camera, and so we've got some bubbly good times with an underwater camera for tonight's pet of the week. So we'll go ahead and get that going and set up here pretty soon. But of course, there's a couple of things I got to do first. First of all, it is Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. That's right. It is Whiskey Wednesday. And for tonight, I am drinking Eagle Bonnie, Four Roses bourbon. Yeah, just the standard one, not my usual single barrel, but that's okay. It's cool. And of course, it is in the True Grit Roots Network tumbler, rocks glass, whatever you want to call it, with my stones in the bottom. All right. And before I get to my first sponsor, of course, I have to, of course, ask everyone, if you are of a mind to stand up, take off your hats, remove your hats, and join with us. And tonight's submission from 3 Chevy over on Rumble, his version of the Pledge of Allegiance. Excuse me for just a second. Let me get this up. All right. So stand up and remove your hats, please. And here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we thank you, 3 Chevy, for submitting that. I do appreciate that. Guys, if you want to get your audio put on for the Pledge of Allegiance, just go ahead and submit it. Record yourself saying it, or whoever can say it. And anyway, so just record yourself saying it and submit it to fans at AmericanPerspective.online. I got thrown off because I'm watching a couple of things going on in the chat. But anyway, Send it to fans@americanperspective.online. Okay, so tonight's sponsor, of course, is, and I got to get the right place. Tonight's sponsor is True Grit Roots Network. This is our highlight sponsor. And of course, the True Grit Roots Network is proud to bring you The Outlaws Come to Gainesville, Texas. So if you're in Gainesville, Texas, or somewhere around Gainesville, you ought to check this show out. Saturday, April 20th at Bare Bones Barbecue. There's a show presented and produced by TGRN, True Grit Roots Network. Billy Stoops and the Dirty Angels, along with Dallas Moore, bring their roots rockin' and outlaw country shows to the Boneyard at Bare Bones Barbecue for one night only. Saturday, April 20th at 8 p.m. Billy Stoops and Dallas Moore are multi-award-winning artists who bring their songs and stories to the stage that will bring you to your feet all night long. Tickets and information are at tgrn.net. That's tgrn.net. Go and check us out and check out our channel, TGRN Blues, our digital radio channel, TGRN Blues, at tgrn.net. Also, you can download our app to listen, or you can listen and find us in the Live 365 catalog of digital radio stations. That's tgrn.net. True Grit Roots Network out of Austin, Texas, with TGRN Blues and The Outlaws Come to Gainesville, Texas. All right. And of course, as always, I've got to let everybody know I am part owner in that endeavor. So it is an incredible show. I think you guys should check it out. I love Billy Stoops. I really do. He's done, in fact, I was introduced to Billy Stoops. For anybody that has seen the movie Shooter, starring Mark Wahlberg, the very ending song as they're rolling the back credits, Billy Stoops does it and does that through it. Bonnie, am I having issues? Is that just me, or is that something else? Anyway, all right. Let me know when you get to it in the chat. I see the normal miscreants along with a few that I haven't seen in a while. I see Tommy and Becky over on Facebook. Got to give a shout out to them. I see Fat Paws. Haven't seen you in a little while, but welcome back. Bonnie, of course, the other half. And let's see, Daybreak is here. We got Buddy Weiser, Coco Dominky, Outlaw Dogs, Music Man, 3 Chevy. Let's see, who else? Judge Wild. We've got Judge in there. Did I miss anybody? I'm looking. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. From what I can tell. So, I guess it's, and Bam, I see Bam driving. Keep your hands on the wheel there, Bam. And the Inked Up also, the Inked Up is there. That's great. I guess it sounds like Rumble might be having some synchronization issues, which is not that great, but we'll go ahead and go with that. Speaking of Rumble, by the way, I have a particular admirer, and I'm using the term admirer in quotes, because of the fact that this particular individual, just so you know, has been running around and replying to comments on my videos, acting like it's me, and basically acting like it's me and trying to get you to call a telephone number. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is this is not cool, but you know, they apparently they do it. Now check that out. So this is an actual account. It is not the channel. And as you can see at the very tail end of the name, they've got an underscore, which is trying to change things. Oh, I missed Mark over on Facebook. I didn't see Mark there. Hi, Mark. Thanks for coming. Anyway, so let's see. What have we got here? So if you receive a message from Rumble, and hat tip to Buddy Weiser, he's the one that kicked it off and let me know about this person. If you receive messages from Rumble from this person replying and trying to be, extremely nice, but yet leaving a telephone number at the bottom, do not call that number. Not like I am going to call it myself, but I don't do that kind of crap, folks. I really don't. Anybody that's been around the channel long enough has known that I don't do those kinds of things. I don't put those kinds of things out. I don't run contests through my social media. I don't try and get you to call telephone numbers except for my number when I'm live. And of course, you'll know, and I have it up. And of course, that if I'm going to do something, I am going to talk about it and announce it first. So anyway, I just wanted to let everybody know this is not me. Okay. This is not me. So if you run across it, and I've reached out to Rumble a couple of times now on their support, haven't heard anything back. I'm trying to get rid of this person, but if this person does respond to you, please just ignore them. I'll go in and delete them when I see them if I can, but that's just the price of fame, I guess. Yeah, we'll call it that. Hey, might as well. My head's big enough already. Might as well add a little bit to it. All right. Enough about that. Okay, so let's get to the story of the day, or the catastrophe of the day. Honestly, is this ship smacking into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. Now, I have to admit, for one reason, I'm kind of glad that I only stream a couple of nights, even though I'm looking at trying to change that. But one of the advantages that I do have is that I get the opportunity to sit back and essentially wait, as Bongino, Dan Bongino talks about the 72-hour rule, the 72-hour Bongino rule, not to take the first press release in a bite. And the reason being is because obviously the press is interested in getting shit to print. Okay. And they don't really care whether they're right or not. There have been several instances of this. I mean, Denzel Washington actually, made his feelings known one time on the red carpet talking to a couple of press people. I've played that clip before. And he essentially is saying that the press has a huge responsibility to get the thing right. But the thing about it is that sometimes the first impression is the wrong impression. Sometimes the first impression is the right impression. But up until the point that we actually get more details and get the full story and really truly understand and dig into it, you're not going to get the full story. Now, I'm not saying that I have, or you're not going to get it right, I should say. And one of the things that I try to do on this channel is I try to be correct. Essentially to give you because honestly, the only thing that I have here holding any particular person here who wants to come and listen to the information that I put out is the fact of whether or not I have the integrity and the ethics and the morals and the standards to be right, to show you and demonstrate to you that the truth is the truth, and that's all it is. Okay. So realistically, me jumping the gun and trying to get a story out there doesn't do me any justice. And it certainly doesn't do you any justice. And since you drive this channel, your participation, your coming here every Wednesday and Saturday is extremely important to me. And so the only thing that I can tell you is that I will do everything I can to make absolutely certain that I have the correct information to the best of my knowledge at the time that I present it to you. And that's my pledge to you as a part of this channel, is to make sure that I have the correct information as much as I can and get it in front of you correctly so that you have the correct information moving forward. And that includes things like my opinions. My opinions are trying to be the correct opinions on things. Now, all of that being said and covered, okay, everybody does make mistakes. Everybody can get suckered in every once in a while. Try my best not to. So what we are about to talk about is still preliminary information. However, I believe that it is the correct information at this point. Now, one of the things that has come out about this, and I'm going to play some audio for you here in just a second, but one of the things that's come out about this is the radio broadcasts on the, what I believe are the emergency channel. And you can listen, the conversation back and forth, while some people have seen the video of the ship hitting the bridge and how fast the bridge goes down and everything else, that video is actually sped up. And it's sped up for a reason. And you can actually notice it if you really take a second and look at the speed of the cars going across the bridge prior to the impact. That's been all over X and social media and everything else. You can tell that it's been sped up. And by speeding it up, you actually get kind of a different feeling or a different sense of what might have happened. Okay. But as far as that goes, let me go ahead and play you this audio and this video of this particular thing. Now, this comes from Fox News, and it's only about just a little bit over a minute and a half long. It looks like, but it's really important for you to get a sense of what was going on at the time. At the time of the impact and everything else. So let's take a second and let's go ahead and listen to this and watch this. Okay, what the heck happened here? Interesting. Hang on just a second. Because... oh, somehow I got it. Oh, my bad. All right, hold on.
South side, one of you guys
there we go.
On the north side, hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching. Has just lost their steering. But until you get that under control, we gotta stop all traffic.
Yeah, we're all, I'm en route to the south side.
Let's start.
I'm holding traffic now. I was dragging, but we stopped prior to the bridge, so I'll have all outer loop traffic stopped.
Or is there a crew working on the bridge right now?
Say 9-1, but
God.
Let me stop traffic on this site right now.
Yeah, if we can stop traffic, just make sure no one's on the bridge right now. I'm not sure where. If there's a crew up there, you might want to notify whoever the foreman is, see if we can get them off the bridge temporarily.
10-4, once the other unit gets here, I'll ride up on the bridge. I have all interloop traffic stopped at this time. Once you get here, I'll go grab the workers on the Key Bridge and then stop the outer loop.
213 dispatch, the whole bridge just fell down. Start, whoever, everybody. The whole bridge just collapsed.
Simple dispatch is direct. That's correct. This time.
Do we know if all traffic was stopped?
I can't get to the other side, so the bridge is down. We're going to have to get somebody on the other side, Anne Arundel County MSP, to get up here and stop traffic coming northbound on the T Bridge.
G13, I'm holding all traffic northbound.
Okay, so as you could tell, that was hang on. So that was some of the radio traffic that was going on during the time of the bridge collapse. Now, here's one of the things about it, and I watched the video, the sped up video of the dark and that kind of thing. As you're watching, there's a much longer version and running around on social media and things like that. But if you watch the video, you can see the lights on the ship drop, the emergency lights come on, then the emergency lights go off, all the lights come back on, and then you see the lights go back out almost immediately, and the emergency lights on the ship come back on. Then you see the ship, because of the angle of the camera, it turns and runs right into the support, one of the main supports on the side of the bridge. Now, keep in mind, the ship was heading outbound. It was not coming in, but it was outbound. And as you can hear, they tried to contact, there was a Mayday call reportedly from the ship saying that they had lost steering control. You can see there was plenty of time because Mark Levin actually played roughly 15 minutes of the audio, and you can hear from the initial call. I only showed you what was available on Fox News, but Mark had a much longer clip, and he essentially outlined that they knew about it. They knew about it well enough that they were able to stop traffic on the bridge, which saved saved potentially hundreds of lives. They also, unfortunately, lost the maintenance crew who was up on the bridge, or at least some of the maintenance crew who was up on the bridge. And they were essentially filling in potholes on the bridge. In fact, in some of the images that you can see in the bridge itself, you can see where they had a line of cones going up one of the up ramps. And so the thing about this entire thing is, obviously conspiracy theories abounded. They came out immediately and started talking about how, this was a sabotage, this was a cyber attack, this was, anything realistically that essentially it's just incredible how quickly people jump on these things. Now, an article came out in the Post Millennial. I have the link in the description of the video. And you can go and check this out. But an article has come out in the Post Millennial that talks about this exact same ship. And apparently, and I haven't been able to corroborate this, but this isn't being picked up by the mainstream media. So this indicates to me that there's a potential real story here, because we know that the mainstream media doesn't want to tell you the truth. But what they did is, apparently the ship was inspected by crews in New York City, September 9th of 2023, didn't find any issues that were reported. However, that same ship was also involved in a crash in 2016 and had deficiencies as well, according to the headline here in the Post Millennial. And when we dig a little deeper, it has been revealed that the cargo ship that crashed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge early Tuesday morning, the Dolly, had been involved in an accident in 2016, and that inspections as recent as last year had came back showing deficiencies. Now here's the thing, okay? A lot of times you'll have ships like this that have redundant systems. And to have a complete failure like this, it had to have been something catastrophic for that to happen. And that's further indicated, as you can see in the videos, where the lights went out, the emergency lights come on, they go out regular lights come back on, then the emergency, then they go out again and the emergency lights come back on right prior to the impact. Now, for those of you that don't know, a lot of these ships have hydraulic systems that are run by electrical generators, which are being pumped by diesel engines. And so that's the smoke that you see, is the diesel engines trying to get the screws going and get the engine, or get the boat actually, or the ship actually going down the river. Now, my wife brought up a really good point. Why did they not have tugboats moving the ship down the river? And I can almost guarantee you that might become a problem. That might become a problem, or a solution, I should say, that they implement down the road, is making it sure that tugboats will actually guide the ships in and out of the harbor. So here's the problem. So when you lose your engines, you lose, a bunch of control. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. This isn't like, a sailboat or whatever, where the wind is powering you. If you lose your engines, you lose control. If you can't turn that rudder, you lose control, and you start seeing things, where the current within the bay, or the river, whatever this was, can affect where the boat goes. So I'm not quite ready. I'll be honest with you. I'm not quite ready to jump on the whole idea that the ship itself had been hacked, or that this is some sort of a terrorist plot, or that it was steered directly into the bridge. I'm not entirely sold on that. However, again, we don't know all of the details with this, and I'm sure it's going to take us a while before we can finally get involved on this. Now, the FBI has said this is not a terrorist attack. The mayor says it's not a terrorist attack. There's no indication of such. And so, yeah, it's just, I just find it sort of ironic. Timing, yes, but folks, bad things happen. Things fail. I mean, look at how many times on this program I've had technology drop. Now, granted, I don't have a bunch of redundant systems set in yet, but the point being is technology does fail. You do have problems and do have issues and things like that. And so just be aware that there is a plausible explanation. The most likely explanation, based on the evidence that I've seen at this point, is it was mechanical failure. Okay. And that the chances of it being like a specific attack could be, I'm going to say, are relatively slim. Now, the reason why I'm not discounting it completely is because of the fact that that port, like Los Angeles's Long Beach port, is one of the premier ports on the East Coast. And so there's a lot of shipping that comes through that port. And apparently that bridge, because I don't know the area, but apparently that bridge goes over the main waterway in and out of the port. And so now that bridge is in the water and blocking all kinds of ships going in and out, that does indicate that it's a possibility that somebody planned this. But honestly, I'm not quite sold on that just yet, because again, first indications, my first gut instinct, based on the relevant data that we see, and also the information being put out in this post-millennial article, is that it is more than likely a mechanical failure, a catastrophic mechanical failure. I could be wrong on that. I'm not going to deny. Could be wrong on that, and we might find out something different in the future. But as of right now, it doesn't appear to be anything but a tragic incident. I'm not going to call it an accident, but a tragic incident. Now, that being said, the 6 people who they were searching for have been declared dead, and they're now turning it into a recovery effort rather than a search and rescue. So our prayers go out to those families of those 6 men and women who have died potentially because of this incident. And I'm fairly certain that the insurance company on the ship, there's going to be you're going to hear about lawsuits and things like that out there. So anyway, all right. So let me talk to you guys really quick about the American Perspective store before I shift gears. American Perspective I have a store, and I have logoed gear available for you. Now, somebody on Rumble, and I won't necessarily say who, Brick, was saying that my t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies were not seasonably friendly. So I've gone ahead and added some tank tops. So go and check out the tank top options over at store.americanperspective.online. That's store.americanperspective.online. And you can go and check out some of the tank top options that now have the logo on them. There are a couple other items that I'm looking to add, but it's going to take me some time to kind of put them together. But anyway, go and check out what I have available right now at store.americanperspective.online and show off your fandom with these fantastic items, clothing items, and drinks and all kinds of stuff for that as well. So go and check it out, store.americanperspective.online. And of course, I always thank you for that support. All right. So the second big topic that has been running around, and let me just answer this really quick. Nana of JJS over on Rumble, I know you just got the Whiskey Musings gator. I don't have a gator just yet, but I'll let you know. I will be sure to let you know when I bring that up, when I figure out how to get that up there. So anyway. All right. Okay. So the next biggest story of the week, of course, has been the quick hiring and firing of Ronna McDaniel, also known as Ronna Romney McDaniel, over at NBC. Oh my gosh, folks. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe how much of a meltdown these nimrods over on MSNBC actually did when they found out that Ronna was coming, or Ronna, whatever her name is, it was coming onto the channel. They went, we're talking like every single show, it seems, just went ballistic over the fact that she was showing up. We're talking Rachel Maddow, Chuck Todd, the morning schmo, as Mark Levin calls it, the Joe Scarborough and his co-host or whatever. They just freaking went completely nuts. And they couldn't even believe that NBC was hiring this person. Well, here's the thing, folks. Because the mainstream media has gone so far left, they've now decided that they're going to be in an echo chamber. Now, those of us who are conservatives who have been watching this transformation, we all pretty much know that the mainstream media is just a propagandist outlet for the leftists that are out there. And they do not, in most cases, do actual reporting. That's part of the reason why their ratings are completely tanking But to sit there and to go absolutely freaking nuts, over the idea that not even like a far right winger. I mean, we're not even talking. I could understand this, honestly, if they brought on like, I don't know, Steve Bannon or Alex Jones or let's see, somebody else who's like superiorly hated by the right. I could get it if they did something like that. But the reality of it is that they went ahead and brought in what would be considered somebody who's more of a moderate, old style Republican, and who didn't even agree with just the absolute horror of the fact that, Donald Trump could have had the election stolen from him. But she didn't even like fully necessarily buy into that. I mean, she said it, but she didn't really buy into it. You could kind of tell. But now they're basically, they freaked out about it as soon as they got her. And here we are 3 or 4 days later, and they've gotten her fired. Cancel culture exists. Not in their minds, because in their minds, oh, yeah, no, it's not happening, but it's good that it is. Yeah, cancel culture exists. And what's even worse is reportedly, after she got fired from NBC, her agent who got her the job, or the agency that got her, that helped negotiate the deal and got her the job, they let her go too. So anyway, the Hot Air put out this piece. So Chuck Todd apparently runs NBC News now. And yeah, this is just crazy because they cut ties. Okay, so this is from the piece. NBC News cut ties with Ronna McDaniel mere days after it hired the former Republican National Committee chairwoman as a contributor. A dramatic about-face that followed a very public rebuke from some of its biggest stars. The move, which was announced on Tuesday in a memo, caps a frantic 4 days of NBC News, which had been looking to bring in a conservative voice to its political coverage ahead of the presidential election, but instead became the target of broad condemnations from observers and employees alike. Cesar Conde, who is NBC Universal's news group chairman, wrote in the memo, "No organization, particularly a newsroom, can succeed unless it is cohesive and aligned. Over the last few days, it has become clear that this appointment undermines that goal." Now, he says cohesive and aligned. What they actually mean is everybody talking the same talking points. That's really what they mean. Totally. Okay. So yeah, it just the case in point in all of this, or the point that I'm attempting to make here, is that these media outlets, especially MSNBC and NBC, should essentially be considered no longer, if you even do nowadays, no longer serious media outlets and journalism. They have literally proven beyond a shadow of a doubt in front of the entire world now that all they are looking for is is essentially an echo chamber for them to all sit there and talk about the Democrat talking points coming up here in the upcoming presidential election. Yeah. All right. Well, to move on to a little bit of a lighter piece, this came out, and this is actually a good thing. The Supreme Court has actually taken some action, which leads to the early release of a January 6th prisoner. And yes, January 6th prisoner. for that. And they carried that person carried a Confederate flag, just basically carried it around the Capitol building. Yeah. So, they have won early release from prison thanks to a Supreme Court decision to review the use of the felony obstruction charge against January 6th detainees. Now, this is the case that if the Supreme Court overturns it, okay, if the Supreme Court overturns it, then what's going to happen here is that the potentiality of up to 300 of these people could get released early. Now, for those of you that may not remember, the majority of the January 6th prisoners and detainees and the people that have been arrested so far and put on trial so far have not been put on trial for things like sedition and insurrection and so on and so forth, but they've been put up and on trial for things like obstruction of a congressional hearing, which is essentially what we're talking about here. So from this piece in the Epoch Times, a Delaware man serving a 3-year sentence for marching through the halls of Congress on January 6th has won early release thanks to a Supreme Court decision to review the Biden administration's novel use, and this is the key, is the novel use of a evidence tampering law that was used to prosecute hundreds of January 6th defendants for felony obstruction of Congress. Okay. Now, Kevin Seafried, who was one of the first people to enter the U.S. Capitol, was convicted in June of 2022 following a bench trial. It wasn't even a jury trial. It was a bench trial before Judge McFadden of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia on 4 misdemeanors and a single felony obstruction charge. And this is the key. The 4 misdemeanors were things like trespassing and that kind of stuff. But in this particular instance, they have the single felony obstruction charge that is now going to be in front of the Supreme Court. And they're going to hear oral arguments, by the way, on April 19th, I believe. Give me just a second. I got to find it here. I believe it's 19th or maybe the 16th. I can't remember. Let me just find it here real quick. April 16th. So I was wrong on that. It's the 16th. But what they're going to listen to is the idea of the obstruction of Congress, which is based on 18 U.S. Code Section 1512, subsection C2, which is in regards to tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. Now, the thing about it is that this law was actually written in the Enron era. So it's a evidence tampering law that was written for business or white collar crime. And the Department of Justice decided to use this in order to prosecute these people for January 6th incursions. And so the question in front of the Supreme Court is whether or not this law actually applies. Now, some early indications by some legal pundits that are out here, okay, are essentially saying that this will potentially be overturned by the Supreme Court. Now, the section that I just gave you is a provision that's part of what's called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. And these experts say it was conceived largely just to curb wrongdoing on Wall Street. So the Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments again on April 16th, and several legal experts have been telling the Epoch Times in earlier interviews that the High Court is likely to find that this section is being improperly used against January 6th defendants. Now, the funny thing about this is, or the not necessarily funny as in haha, but the funny as in, again, the attacks on Donald Trump situation. the attacks on Donald Trump, this is part of his charges. Those 91 felony charges, this is part of them. So if the Supreme Court overturns this and says, yeah, this law is not designed to be that way, what you're going to end up with is a number of January 6th defendants, including Mr. Seyfried, will have it overturned, and he will, of course, be able to, January 6th defendant Donald Trump will also have those charges dropped. So once again, here we go. Some of the cases against Donald Trump are starting to fall completely apart. So one other thing that you might want to listen or be hearing about in terms of Supreme Court has to deal with the Supreme Court's they're currently thinking about the abortion pill mifepristone. There we go. And there's actually two cases with this. Okay, there's actually two cases that are going on about this. This is the first of the two. And realistically, unlike what the mainstream media, in fact, this right here, they're saying the Supreme Court, I mean, this is from the Washington Examiner, which isn't exactly right wing or true. But the Supreme Court abortion pill ruling will shape the 2024 election. I think the only reason it'll shape it is because the mainstream media is actually using this case to misinform the public. This particular case, and again, like I said, there's two of them, but this first one is basically in regards to whether or not the people who are bringing the case to them, meaning the doctors and the group of doctors that are bringing the case before the Supreme Court, actually have standing to sue in terms of the FDA's approval. And so it's not the sorry. It's not the whole idea of whether or not the states can stop the the distribution of this pill, but this is more of a, do doctors have standing to sue under the FDA? And if the FDA, has some issues or whatever, that kind of scenario, it's a very big legal argument. I've talked to you about standing before, standing having three parts within it, and that the Supreme Court put up. And so right now it looks like that. So don't get all excited when the left gets excited over this. But it looks like, based on the arguments that are being presented and the questions that are being asked, or that have been asked by the Supreme Court justices, that they are not all that keen in allowing this case to have standing for this. So don't read anything into it. It's not going to change. This particular case is not necessarily going to change whether or not the abortion pill is allowed to be purchased or prescribed within particular states, things of that nature. That's a separate case altogether that's coming. But of course, the mainstream media is going to make it sound like if the Supreme Court rules in favor of this, or says basically that the doctors can't sue, that that means that they are for the abortion pill. That it's not what it means. So just be prepared for that to happen. I'm pretty sure the mainstream media is going to do that. But just kind of keep that in mind going forward. All right. So there was an interesting article that came out also in the Washington Examiner. Now, for the most part, everybody knows, I've told you on this program, we've talked about this before with regards to former President Barack Obama living in D.C., being the only president in modern history, that has essentially decided to stay in D.C. after his terms are over. And yet the left keeps thinking or keeps saying that no, Biden's not, Biden's running the show. Yeah. Nope. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but this article just proves it. It just freaking proves it. Okay. Obama apparently has started to tell the White House. Now, this is no surprise to anybody who's intelligent and knows that the entire administration of Biden's administration are holdovers for the most part of the Obama administration and people who worked for Obama and adore Obama. I mean, you've seen the videos of when Obama visits the White House and Biden's there. Biden's walking around looking like a complete loser in high school. He's walking around and looking around and like, who do I talk to? Who do I mention? Who do I whatever? And everybody's surrounded by Obama. In fact, there's even one video that you may or may not have seen, but there's one video where Biden is like reaching in and grabbing Obama's shoulder and like trying to get his attention. And Obama is just completely ignoring him. Okay. Completely ignoring Joe. Now, I've also told you on this program that Biden and Obama hate each other. They actually hate each other. And Joe Biden has been overheard as saying that he is better than Obama, that he has gotten stuff done that Obama didn't or couldn't do. And also that Obama's successes were due to the fact that Joe Biden was his VP. We all know that. We all know that is his thought process. I've talked about it on this show. Other pundits have talked about it. Well, apparently now with this article, he's reportedly had, meaning Obama, has reportedly had regular talks with Joe Biden as Biden's election rematch with former President Donald Trump gets closer. According to the New York Times, Obama has also made calls to several top aides in Biden's campaign in an attempt to help stave off Trump, who is leading Biden in the majority of the swing states polls. The report, citing an anonymous senior Biden aide, noted that Obama always had been concerned about a Biden loss. And here, actually, they're admitting it. Biden and Obama, who have had a complicated relationship over the years, have been seen campaigning together more frequently as the 2024 election looms. So keep in mind, they're going to the bullpen. They're pulling out the righty. They're bringing Obama out of the bullpen to try and prop up the geriatric loser, honestly, that is Joe Biden. Yeah, they're trying to bring him back. But anyway, so just understand that, yeah, this is nothing unusual. Biden and, Obama's been pulling Biden's strings quite a bit. And speaking of which, Biden's strings being pulled here, Biden is actually considering illegal immigrant amnesty. Now, this is from Hot Air. Boy, this is not really a surprise. I mean, how many times have we heard from the Democrats about DACA and we need to bring the Dreamers in and all of these things that, all these things that have to happen, the Dreamers, and we have to amnesty them and so on and so forth. So this is again another page out of the Democrat playbook. Once again, who is sitting here when, talking about this, but, yeah, it was buried in a Politico report, according to the Hot Air piece, on why Biden hasn't really been doing anything to douse the political fire caused by the border crisis. Biden is actually considering going in the opposite direction and granting amnesty to essentially longtime illegal residents. Now, you tie this, okay, excuse me for a second. You tie this with the idea of places like New York allowing illegal aliens to vote in local elections. Certain cities in California doing this, and also the fight against using voter ID to validate people. And you have what is essentially the perfect recipe for election fraud in federal elections that will allow these people to essentially do this. Now, okay, so there's a question is from Jarhead over on Rumble. Can Obama Biden grant amnesty to illegals? There is a little bit of leeway in terms of this. But yeah, it's not entirely clear, although it wouldn't surprise me any with the combination of attempting to get the Democrats back in charge of the House so that they have even just an even Steven or majority, a slight majority in the House of Representatives, to be able to work with the Senate and Biden, to gain at the ability to grant amnesty for all of this. So yeah, they're working on it. I'm sure they're working on it. All right. So one thing that is kind of slipped under the radar in some circles, which we need to be paying attention to, was this that came out in Just the News. FISA renewal deadline is fast approaching amid bipartisan call for ending warrantless surveillance. Now, for those of you that don't remember, the FISA warrants are what they used in order to spy on Donald Trump based on the dossier that was, the Steele dossier that was created and floated by the FBI in order to get the ability to spy on people like General Flynn. This FISA scenario is again part of the Section 702, and this is coming up on April 19th. There's where I got the 19 and 16 swapped. So this renewal deadline, which by the way, the FISA originally showed up in the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978. So it originally showed up in 1978. And it was, the purpose of it, of course, was to spy on and look at and make sure that we were not being penetrated by foreign agents, and to keep an eye on them as they come on to, our soil and stuff. But it was not designed or intended to bypass the Constitution and the Fourth and Fifth Amendments with regards to unreasonable searches and seizures and the ability to be secure in your persons and those kinds of things. It wasn't designed to do that, but that's exactly what has been going on. And Trump being spied on, and the Trump team being spied on, is a perfect case, an example of how far the FISA courts have been able to overstep their bounds with regards to this. Now, one thing about the FISA courts is that the only people that are generally present when they go through these hearings in order to determine whether or not they can actually get a warrant to spy on these people is essentially the government. There's no defense. There's no representation for the person who's being spied on. There's none of that. It is essentially the government presenting their case to this closed court. You can't even go as a citizen. You can't even go and sit in on one of these things. That's how bad this is. And so by the way, the FISA Act has also been amended a couple of times. Key point here was during the Patriot Act, amended part of it. And it's been amended several other times too. But this is just a bad thing. I mean, this essentially goes against the Constitution of the United States when you start spying on Americans. And that's one of the reasons why they usually, when an American has an interaction with a individual who is under surveillance, that they mask that person's identity. Well, as we all know, it doesn't seem to work very well. And so this is something that's coming out and coming soon. And I personally think that, yeah, it definitely needs to be revamped or just not renewed. Get rid of it completely. Because of the way that it is being used. It's sort of like saying, oh, well, you have somebody monitoring it. Well, who's going to monitor the monitors? And who's going to monitor the monitors of the monitors? And who's going to monitor the monitors of the monitors of the monitors? You get my point. This is a bad law that's been used and abused like all laws do. And it just needs to honestly go away. And speaking of the Constitution, let me go ahead and bring this up. You can get this fantastic Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution by going to constitution.americanperspective.online. That's constitution.americanperspective.online. Check this thing out. It has got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather for the cover. It is, the inside pages are tear-resistant and water-resistant. It has got actual stitching for the binding. This ain't no simple glue, folks. This is actual thread stitching that goes all the way through the pages and the leather. It has got these wonderful rounded corners so they don't catch on things. And it has a 100-year warranty against manufacturing issues and defects within the material defects. That's what I was looking for. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online. And if something does go wrong with this thing in the next 100 years, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online and get your copy today. This is being brought to you by the Institute on the Constitution. They have a fantastic bunch of books and information all about the Constitution. They want to educate through a grassroots effort, educate your communities and you on the Constitution of the United States as it was written by or through the American view of law and government. So go to constitution.americanperspective.online and get your Constitution, your Saddleback leather-bound Constitution today, and support the show. And I thank them for allowing me to be an affiliate. All right. So, the left, the godless left, the godless, Satan-worshiping left has gone nuts. No, I'm not talking about their typical usual things, you know, all of the stuff that they do. I'm talking about the fact that Trump is now, quote unquote, selling a Bible. That's right. And here it is in Axios, left-wing rag. Trump basically says that we must make America pray again. Now, he's not wrong with this. Is not wrong with this at all. Trump actually is, yes, he is selling them. He is marketing them, but let's be real about this here. He is merely just allowed or licensed his name, likeness, and I think even his signature to be used by the company that is selling the Bibles. For this. Now, this is a collaboration with Lee Greenwood. It's called the God Bless the USA Bible. And obviously it was inspired by Lee Greenwood's famous anthem that I think just about everybody has heard about it. or has heard the music and the song. But here it is. You can go to godblesstheusabible.com and you can check it out. The Bible apparently has, and you can see there is his likeness. He's holding the Bible. And this actually is part of the reason why the left went nuts. Because of the fact that they all believe that, Trump is Satan incarnate, and that he essentially, would, as far as they're concerned, would die holding this Bible. They can't believe that this guy, is doing this. Well, the problem that they have is they think that Trump is actually selling them. Trump is not selling them. Trump receives no money from this. In fact, there was even some misinformation and disinformation running around on social media that the funds were going to Trump. They do not. Trump is essentially, like I said, all he is doing, according to the website, according to the information that I can gather, is that all he is doing is he is licensing his likeness, his name to the company to be able to market it and sell it. Okay. So the Bible features apparently the handwritten chorus to God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood. It also includes our fabulous U.S. Constitution, the first 10 amendments known as the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence as written, and also the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, this is only currently has one translation, which is the King James Version. The KJV is the translation that they have right now. There's no indication that they're going to do anything but that. Okay. But that being said, it's $60. It's $60 for this Bible. And so, anybody, obviously anyone who's interested, go to godblesstheusabible.com. I think it's great. I think it's cool that he's not gaining any money off of this. He's not all he did was license his likeness and put out a video on it, which, by the way, you can watch the video, here on the site. I'm not going to play it now, but it's going to, and you can take a look at where the money is going and so on and so forth. You can figure it out. You can go to the godblesstheusabible.com and you can see it's not just Trump. There's a bunch of people here. There's Trace Adkins, obviously Lee Greenwood. Looks like you've got some other country superstars here, as well as like Tommy Lahren, I think, is there. I've seen a picture. Mike Huckabee is in a picture, so on and so forth. And so anyway, you can go and check it out. It's, godblesstheusabible.com, but the left is just absolutely melting down because they think that, just because Trump, and again, it's $60 according to the website, you can order it now. But just because Trump is a, professed adulterer, because he has, stepped out of marriage, that he has admitted to being a sinner, that he, has, they call him a rapist, which is wrong. He's not a rapist. He has never been convicted of rape. But the point being here is that the left is just going absolutely apeshit. Yes, I said it, apeshit, over the fact that, this is, that he's endorsing this. So anyway, once again, the left is completely lost. They have no idea what's going on. And so, yeah, anyway. All right. I just found it extremely hilarious to me. I may decide to get one, not like I need it anymore. I've got 4 different translations here. It's not like I need another Bible and another book, and definitely don't need another Declaration of Independence and Constitution and all of that stuff, because I got a lot of them all there. But anyway, just the fact that Donald Trump, who, by the way, I think is actually one of the most perfect people that are out there to have the ability to troll, because he trolls really, really well. I mean, he's, I don't know if anybody heard the whole thing with him announcing the whole idea of the dropping of the bond payment. And he was asked I don't know if anybody heard this audio clip, but he asked, or was asked by a reporter, how are you going to secure that bond? And he turned around with one singular word and just shut the guy up, which is essentially cash. So, if anything else, I can tell you that Trump is a troll master when it comes to trolling people. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. You can be against him all you want, but you got to tell, he does know how to troll people and to suck people in and get them into his embrace and his rope and just smacking them around a little bit. Anyway. All right. So let's do a time check. Okay. So let me get these last couple of things out here. You know how the left has been, in particular the White House, has been talking about how the economy is great, Bidenomics is great, the consumer confidence is up, economics is fantastic, so on and so forth. Well, this article hit from Newsmax Money. Consumer confidence dips on a cloudy economic outlook, as if we didn't already know about this. But U.S. consumer confidence, this is from the piece, U.S. consumer confidence ticked down as Americans wrestle with higher prices and feel less optimistic about the short-term future. The Conference Board, which is a business research group, said Tuesday that its consumer confidence index ticked down to 104.7 in March from a revised 104.8 in February. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't sound like a lot, but in reality, it's kind of bad. The index that they also use for Americans' short-term expectations for categories such as income, business, and the job market actually fell down further. They went from 73.8 fell to 73.8 from 76.3 last month. Anything under 80, by the way, can signal a potential recession in the near future, supposedly. Okay. So here we are again. The view of the economic outlook really is not as stellar as what they want you to believe in terms of our economy and Bidenomics. Now, I had to go outside of America to take a look at this. I had to go outside of the mainstream media to take a look at this. But it appears that China is actually putting up more pressure on Taiwan here. They have multiple, according to Express UK, China's aircraft and warships surround Taiwan as invasion threat surges. Now, this is something that the mainstream media is not paying attention to on this because of the fact that obviously this is a negative report for Joe Biden. But apparently 7 Chinese naval vessels and 5 military aircraft were detected operating around Taiwan just this past Sunday, according to Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense. They described one Chinese aircraft entering Taiwan's Southwest Air Defense Identification Zone as Taipei's forces monitored its movement. So here's the thing. They are, again, China is putting up the pressure on Taiwan. Now, as I've told you on this program multiple different times, if we lose Taiwan and its chip manufacturing capability, be prepared for an electronic hit to occur. By that, I mean electronics and the electronics sales and everything else to hit all across the world, because this is essentially, 90% of all chips and all kinds of electronics come from Taiwan itself. And And even our chips, like the Intel chips manufacturer or manufacturing plant that's being built in Arizona and was, pushed on by Biden, was, Biden was saying, hey, we're going to be bringing chip manufacturing here back to the U.S. If you recall the episode not too long ago, that the company, which is a Taiwanese silicon manufacturing company that owns that plant, actually takes those raw chips that roll off that line, ship them off to Taiwan for finishing first, and then ship them back into the country. So, yeah. Anyway, again, here we are, government organization and everything else. The government under Biden is just absolutely horrendous at this point. All right. So we haven't done one of these in a while because I haven't received anything, but let's go ahead and do a mail call. Oh, whoops. Apparently, I forgot the timing on that. All right. It does go away. It does go away. I promise. So it wasn't twice. It was just once. Well, okay. My mistake. Anyway, I would like to thank whoever sent this. This is fantastic. It goes to the P.O. Box, which is the Center for the American Perspective. Now, if you recall, I did have Whiskey Musings in the address. So if you took the address down with the Whiskey Musings name on it, you're going to have to revamp that. And that's part of the reason why I know that this was sent by somebody after the name had changed, because the ship to address was actually in care of Active Eye Media LLC, who actually owns, that's my company, and who actually owns this broadcast is Active Eye Media LLC. So let's see what we've got in the package here. Let's take a look. It's a book. Let's see. What do we have here? Okay, this is, it's just this is the ship to billing. All right, so what's the book? Let's see what the book is. Put that aside. George Floyd Creepy Pastas. It's a national bestseller. This is volume 1. It was apparently a republished 5th edition. So 50 plus breathtaking horror stories by Jordan Kleeman. And it's got a very creepy photo for those who are on the audio portion only. It's got a very creepy photo of George Floyd on the front. So let's see. What is this? I got to get my glasses. Sorry. I got to read this here. Okay. It's, are you tired of reading unbased, scary stories that don't leave you breathless? Fear no more. This collection of 50 plus George Floyd creepy pastas will have you covered. Discover some of the universe's deepest secrets as you read through George Floyd lore. Now, it looks like, here in the front, here's the disclaimer, just so you guys understand that this is not necessarily completely about George Floyd. Here's the disclaimer. It says the stories, parables, and allegories in this book are satire. The sets of views and opinions expressed in this book are only of those of the characters, institutions, etc. They do not necessarily reflect upon the author, and they do not necessarily reflect upon the entities on which the characters and institutions are based. So apparently this is a satirical look at certain things and stories about and creepy stuff with regards to, and I guess it's just called George Floyd for whatever reason. But anyway, God, the print on this is I mean, this is kind of small here in terms of the print, but all right. Well, thank you for whoever sent that. I do appreciate it. I will try and get to it. As soon as I can, and then of course maybe report back and give you guys some of this stuff. But anyway, all right. So now for the final part of the show, let's go ahead and do our pet of the week. And tonight's submission is by Outlaw Dogs, and apparently the story on this, is, well, I'll just put it out there. I have had the video for a very long time, but apparently the story on this is that Outlaw Dogs had an underwater camera. And she decided, because she wanted to use it for her swimmers. Of course, everybody knows the Outlaw Dogs is the coach of the Delaware Valley Moccasins, who are the unofficial mascot, water team, so on and so forth, mascot of the old Whiskey Musing show, and of course now the American Perspective show. And so anyway, she went ahead and stuck it in a fish tank and tried to follow a fish. Now she's been sending it, or she sent it to me originally with some music in the background. And of course I've got to be careful with copyright strikes, because they're attacking me on Facebook in particular for copyright infringement. They apparently seem to think that my music in the leader is, and following the program is, not like public use, Creative Commons, whatever it is. And they keep saying that Sony Music owns it. And I keep having to, which is part of the reason, by the way, that Facebook actually cut out, on me, a while ago, a couple of times. And so realistically, what the truth of the matter is that I only use Creative Commons stuff. So anyway, if I play something that is copyrighted, I can get copyright striked. On YouTube, they demonetize it. Not like I'm making anything off of YouTube anyway, because I don't have enough subscribers. But Facebook will like block the video, and so they do all kinds of stuff. So because she went and had it with a copyrighted audio, she went ahead and redid it with a bubble effect. And so this is why it's taken so long to show it. But here we go. Let's enjoy 1 minute of, and let me go ahead and get rid of that. 1 minute of underwater fishy footage. There we go. Underwater fishy footage. Got some fantastic neon colored fish here. It's kind of funny because I'm sitting in I'm in the tank now. I didn't know I could breathe underwater. Anyway, got all kinds of like neon colored rocks and stuff where the fish live, and fish plants. There's some pink plants and stuff. I'm guessing this is like a GoPro camera or something along those lines for it. But anyway, so there's Pearl, who is the fish of the video. So anyway, so there you go. That is tonight's pet of the week, which is the fishes. So hey, do me a favor, if you want to have your pet featured on a Wednesday. Coco Dominky. Does anyone have to pee now? God, I love my rumblers. All my rumblers. well, I love my Facebook peeps too, but the Rumblers kind of take it to another level with the pantsless and braless Wednesdays. Anyway, as I was saying, if you want to feature your pet of the week on Wednesday night, do me a favor, send me your pet, a pet photo or two or more of your pet. It could even be a video, and could also send it to fans at americanperspective.online. That's fans at americanperspective.online. And of course, that is the same place that you can send me just all kinds of stuff, whether it's questions of the week, which I do on Saturday, or pet of the week, or your Pledge of Allegiance tapes. Those are all going to anyway, sorry, they're all going to fans at americanperspective.online. One other thing that I want to let everybody know as well is that I've actually set up an email for tips. So if you guys run across a story or something that you would like me to investigate a little bit or potentially talk about on the show, send me a link for that, or send it to, send me a pointer where the story might be or something like that. Send it to tips, TIPS, tips at americanperspective.online. That's tips at americanperspective.online. If you have a story tip, a news article, or even something like, for an example, I'd love to get my Highlighting America segment going. If you have even like a feel-good story or something like that regarding America, that's where you would send it, is send it to tips at americanperspective.online. And of course, before you take off tonight, if you're over on Rumble, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It's called a Rumble because that's where we get all of the tracking and things like that go on Rumble, and you can make this show get bigger and bigger. This show bigger and bigger, because I'd love for that to happen. I mean, again, this show is for you. I'd like to expand the audience and bring more people into this. And so finally, make sure that if you're not on Rumble, head on over to Rumble and subscribe, set up an account. It's free. And once you get there and you get your account, you can go and subscribe to the channel, the American Perspective channel, as well as join in on the chat and that kind of stuff too, which is, it's a great little party place and that kind of stuff. All right. We will see you on Saturday right here on American Perspective with Rick Thomas. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And, and don't forget, Sunday is Easter. So do whatever, get all of the stuff prior to, Easter, and then you can come on here and we can, you can watch the show while you're preparing Easter dinner. Anyway, we will see you guys next time. Have a good evening, everybody, and good night.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.